I think the pandemic altered intensive mothering because it took away some escape pathways for mothers who engage in intensive mothering practices. Intensive mothering centers the child, but with centering the child, there are institutions such as a school and playdates with other parents, children, that gives mothers an escape from parenting and the ability to center themselves for a few hours. According to Lemonic, during the pandemic, the expectation of mothers increased, and many mothers who engaged in some variation of intensive mothering reported no personal time to attend their own physical and mental well being. I think that during the pandemic, because one of the ideologies of intensive parenting is to center the child in their growth, the mothers who were conducting themselves in intensive parenting practices found themselves engulfed in the demands of mothering with no breaks for themselves. Um, Many men are not engaging in intensive parenting because pre pandemic they were providing, so they pretty much kept their schedules during the pandemic. With a slight adjustment of probably seeing the kids more, but they were not involved with the day to day child raising. In society, I've seen intensive parenting with my own mother during COVID-19. She made sure we were on our Zoom meetings when sick. She took us to our appointments and made sure that we did our work. During the pandemic, my mom would censor us, but my dad, he would just continue to go to work. And I never found anything weird with it because, I mean, before pandemic, he was doing work and not involved with the day to day. I believe body monitoring is examining one's body size, weight, and shape. For Black women, in my opinion, monitoring differs because it involves the evaluation of examining one's body size, weight, and shape in comparison to the preferred Eurocentric body ideals. I think that oftentimes individuals attempt to make Black women feel inferior to white women simply because of race. Moreover, because of racial superiority, Black women are not the ideal form of conventional beauty in America. Due to Black women's curves, kinky hair, thick lips, and big breasts, body monitoring for Black women implies that Black women are expected to overanalyze their bodies due to lack of superiority in the conventional beauty categories. According to Stanton et al., body monitoring in Black women due to sexual objectification of Black women can have adverse effects, such as Black women engaging in behaviors to prevent sexual objectification, and Black women may monitor their bodies to receive more sexual attention to reduce the likelihood of being sexually objectified. This type of monitoring decreases the individual's autonomy over their body and voluntarily gives it to the conventional beauty standard. Every outfit put on, every surgery possibly done to the body, or how the individual may even do their hair may be controlled by the conventional body standard at the time. In society, as a Black woman, I have never experienced body monitoring due to the intersections of race and gender, emphasizing the race as this study does. I cannot fathom an answer to how I respond to this because in the environment that I was raised in, around other Black girls, it did not foster the idea of body monitoring to align with the conventional beauty standards, which is Eurocentrism. Something in my community was coined as a goal for Black women to achieve and become the ideal Black woman, not to achieve the ideal of a Eurocentric body standard. I believe that we can functionally work against Black women's body monitoring by conducting studies within the Black community that centers the Black community's body standards and explores the effects of those standards, such as body monitoring, due to wanting to achieve a certain beauty standard. Household labor is not considered real work compared to a paying career, so emotional labor is incredibly overlooked when it comes to being considered as work. I think emotional labor is expected of both men and women in the household as part of their intimacy with their children and intimacy within the relationship. However, I think that because household labor is focused on the care of the children in the home, the focus of emotional labor should be there as well. This makes it hard for males in the dynamic to do so due to work, lack of time with children, and lack of traits associated with emotionality. Emotional labor is not seen as work or a task required in the household, making it easy for men to not prioritize it for themselves or for their women. According to Erickson, some theories such as gender ideologies have a perspective that reinforces a division of labor in the home in which women perform more of the work associated with being a female, such as housework, childcare, and emotional work. Emotional labor is associated with the female gender role of being a mother because women have traits such as nurturing, loving, caring, making emotional labor habitual. At the same time, males are not associated with emotional labor when it comes to children because traits such as leadership, strength, and assertiveness make emotional labor hard for them. In society, my mom did the bulk of emotional labor in the household, whereas my father tended to stick to physical labor and rarely provided emotional support to the family. And I never looked at him sideways for that. I thought it was relatively usual, especially when he had moments where he did not assist with the physical labor in the household. When my mother had her days, however, I looked at her as if she had done something wrong, even though I didn't know what exactly she had done wrong. I always felt weird when she was not providing the emotional support she usually did. But when it came to my father, I never thought of his lack of emotional support as weird. Catherine entered the Boston Marathon as the first woman to enter the marathon after being a male event for 70 years. She was accepted into the race by technicality, where she signed up using the name KV Switzer, and no one could tell whether she was a man or a woman. I believe the runners just received her as a woman runner, which was unexpected and different. The racing official, however, Jock Sumter, chased after her and was trying to get her out of the race. In the video, Catherine was attacked by Suppler, who was attempting to remove her out of the race because she is a woman. The limitation on Catherine was that she should not be allowed to run because she is a woman, and the assumptions were that she was trying to be a suffragette and trying to prove something for women. But I think she was just trying to run, and her performance explains a lot of what the feminist movement stands for, which is the ability for women to just exist equally as human beings. In society, I think gender assumptions haven't changed, but they have been less regarded to like immediately. Gender assumptions such as a woman cannot compete with men or women are weaker than men are not automatically upheld in sports. There is now an ability for women to prove these assumptions wrong and provide a chance for these assumptions to not be the automatic default. I believe that gender expectations are occasionally imposed upon individuals in society unintentionally, such as during family events when the woman is asked to help cook and the man is allowed to stay seated, and intentionally, such as a woman taking care of the home and men providing for the home financially. In these expectations, we assume that women possess traits such as being nurturing, loving, and caring to fulfill the gender expectation of being a homemaker. And for men, we assume they possess traits of being a leader, ambitious, and being stern to fulfill the gender expectations of being a provider. According to Erickson, social emotional behavior performance is seen as a natural expression of women's love for their husbands and their children. The gender expectation of women being naturally loving is what individuals assume of women. That is not what is primarily assumed of men. Instead, they are assumed to be strong, while women take on the loving trait. I believe the effects of these expectations affirm and help establish gender division in the household, causing things like housework to be assigned to a certain gender permanently. In society, I believe if we suspend these assumptions, men could work equally in a household, taking care of the children and household chores, and women could equally join men in the workforce, bring home equal pay while providing for the household without judgments. The interchangeability of these roles would be normalized, and both males and females won't be would be equal in the sense of being capable of fulfilling these roles as a norm.